You are now listening to the Pelicans Postgame Report.
All right, what's happening, fam? Welcome into another installment of PPR for all things Pelicans. We up in this thing. I'm Big Q. We got DC chiming as well. Big ups to the fam. Appreciate you. We're doing this quick one for the family members. We're gonna break it up in two parts, but we're gonna cover this. And of course, this stream is basically recapping or reviewing rather David Griffin's 5-year tenure. It's been 5 years since David Griffin stepped in the door back in 2019. So we're going to go over a few things. We're going to talk about a few things Pelican related. So I'm going to ask you guys to please feel free to hit the like button. If you're not a subscriber, please feel free to subscribe to PPR because we here doing this thing representing the flock and nation. So we up in this thing. So DC, welcome on in. How you doing today?
Yeah. Oh, I'm doing excellent today, man. When I discovered what the show topic was, this is really exciting.
Indeed. And this is something that I haven't seen a lot being done out here about it. Just basically
a lot. How about at all?
It's for real. And we talked about this as kind of going over what has happened since David Griffin stepped in the door. So I wanted to kind of bring this to the family members' minds, because since David Griffin took the VP job here in New Orleans, it's been 5 years. That's a year longer than when he spent his time with Cleveland. He was there for 4 years. He's been with us for 5 years. So we have team statistics and information on screen for the family members that we're going to go over. We're going to also talk about under his tenure how the Pelicans have looked and what it'll look like going into the future. We also talk about some of the things, the new acquisition or we got a new general manager under David Griffin as Trajan Langdon left to take the Detroit Pistons VP job. And this is the thing. Can we really get the type of success we believe the Pelicans should be getting? So anyway, let's jump right off into it, man. DC, listen, we got about several topics to go over, including the David Griffin thing. But let's cover this.
Oh, I thought that's what we was going over, man. That's what got me excited. Can we make that the main thing that we talk about?
Indeed, that's what we'll go over first.
And if we got time, we'll talk about the rest of it.
Yes. All right. So anyway, let's jump right off into it, man. This is what I got on screen right now for the family members to see, man. This is just what it is. This is the team records right here. And this information comes via way of basketballreference.com. A lot of good information and stats there. As we talk about it, as you can see, this is pretty much a good graphic of David Griffin's tenure as a general manager and then his jump from general manager to VP of the Pelicans over the last 5 years. As you can see, his Cleveland numbers right there. 33 games since when he took over Cleveland in 2013-2014, 33 games, 17-16. Then he went 53-29, 57-25, and 51-31 in the fourth year there. Of course, you can see in 2014, Eastern Conference champions. They won the title in 2015-2016, and then the year after that, they were Eastern Conference champions yet again. And then he ultimately took the job, and then he came to be the VP of the Pelicans. A lot of success in Cleveland, not too much popping with the Pelicans. In 4 seasons with Cleveland, and 279 games, he was 178 and 101. So 178 to 101 in his time with Cleveland. Not bad at all. Remember,
that ain't bad, huh? It's 638% win percentage.
Not bad in Cleveland at all. Of course, a lot of, like we talked about, a lot of stuff that happened in Cleveland. LeBron James was there, and LeBron James did a lot of stuff that influenced David Griffin's decision making to appease LeBron, because LeBron would go in there and tell him, we need this player, we need that player, we need this player. And David Griffin would then in turn go and get those players. So he had a lot of people like LeBron in his ear pushing on him to do that. He doesn't have that here. And since he's taken a VP job here, he's been running the team like he wants to lead them. And he kind of got away from LeBron style, where he really was just doing what, he was just LeBron's gopher. I want this guy, go get this guy, go get that guy. But since he took over the VP job, and of course, Trajan Langdon became the GM under him, this is how it looked. In the first season, 2019, the Pelicans went 30-42. The second year was 31-41, a game improvement. In 21-22, they went 36-46. And then in 22-23, they went 42-40. And then this past season, 23-24, they went 49-33. So as you can see, 30, 31, 36, 42, and 49. We do see some winning here or there. But in 5 seasons.
Well, I mean, that's easy to do, Q, when in, one of those seasons for sure. You pretty much bowed out on 10 games. Remember that? When we
Yeah,
intentionally tried not to win the last 10 games of the season. You remember that?
that was the Gentry, the last Gentry.
No, that was Stan Van Gundy year.
Was it Stan? Yeah, that's right. You're right. That was Stan
Yeah,
Van.
that Zion was mad. He wanted to play. He had the little finger injury, but he could have still played. They set out Zion. They had some BS injury for Bi and some knee or something for Lonzo Ball. They basically just shut down the whole team. The last 10 games of the season.
Right.
We could have made the playoffs that year. Didn't want to. You know why? Because they were going to fire Stan Van Gundy. That wouldn't look good, right? If you make the playoffs and then you fire the coach, how would that look?
Right. And then of course, as you can see, the time, like we look at the time, and it's highlighted right here. In 5 seasons as the VP of basketball operations for the New Orleans Pelicans, 390 games under David Griffin's leadership, 188 and 202. So he's like 12 games or so under 500. So I mean, it's a minus 500 record in 5 years with the Pelicans. So the thing is, DC, the question is, how does this look? And of course, we're gonna go over let's pop up some of the records. I just showed you guys some of this stuff. Let's look at, and this is right here, basically a catalog of the Pelicans. See if I can kind of superimpose this thing. It's like the Pelicans record, postseason record, right? As you can see right here. And it goes all the way back to 2002 and 2003. You can see it right here, the first round there against the Sixers, and then you see the Heat the next year, back-to-back playoff years, and then it was a drought. 3 years without anything, and then in 07-08, they get a couple of playoff years. The Mavericks game right there, as you can see, they were able to advance against the Mavericks. They got up there, and then, we kind of got down to it right there. You see the Spur game right there. And then the next year, they go back against the Nuggets in the first round. In 2009 and 10, blah, blah, blah. They didn't do anything there. The following year, they get that. Then a 3-year absence. Then they come back against Golden State 2014, 2015. This is our entire playoff record. So not much shaking. So David Griffin joins the Pelicans back in the 2019-2020 season, which would put us right here, right? No playoffs in 2 years. First year, second year, no playoffs. Third year, they did make the playoffs against the Suns right there. And then they come back in 22-23, nothing. And then 0-4 in the playoffs. So appearances under David Griffin as the VP of basketball operations with a record of 188 to 202. That, to me, DC, let's kind of unravel that, because a lot of stuff happened during that period of time. And of course, we can go into all of the trades and all this kind of stuff that was going on with the team, the trading of the superstar of the team, the acquiring of talent to the team. What really kind of stalled out the development of the team was the bad decision making that was made by David Griffin when he came in. Remember when David Griffin took over the team, started fresh. He didn't. He kept Gentry for a year, then fired him. Then hired Stan Van Gundy, then fired him after 1 year.
Why would you keep a coach that you know you're going to fire?
So what I'm saying is, in 3 years when he took over the team, it was just awful. 3 years of taking over, 3 years and taking the team. He had 3 head coaches in 3 years. That's not stability. That's bad decision making. The Elvin Gentry thing was stupid. The Stan Van Gundy thing was stupid. To go and get a coach that hadn't coached in years, was really out of the game, just being an analyst, and prior to that, an executive. And you go and grab him off the shelf somewhere when he had all of these other coaches that was out there, that was in the game, that were credible. They had some young people out there, some experienced guys, and they just looked past all these guys for some guy that nobody was talking about. 1 year, nothing. Then the third year, with all of the bad contracts that were tied up with money that they owed Elvin Gentry, money that they owed Stan Van Gundy, the Pelicans had to go cheap in the third year, and that's how we end up with Willie Green, who was inexpensive at the time. Now, right now, we don't know what his contract is because they signed a secret extension. Griffin and Willie Green signed a secret extension late last year, didn't report it until the end of the regular season this year. So it's really sneaking underhanded how these people perform in business in the Pelican. But anyway, the overall process looking at David Griffin was 188 to 202. This is his record, overall win record in 390 games since he's been the Pelican VP. Got 2 playoff appearances, right? Not much shaking on the forefront. So D say 5 years. This is a 5-year serving of what we've gotten as David Griffin coming in here. 5 years have passed since he's taken over as the VP. What do you think about what has been done so far? And by the way, let me add this to you before you comment. He's resetting the core after 5 years, the Zion BI and now the CJ thing, which he traded for a couple of years ago. All that is going to be reset. As Zion's going to, you got to get another superstar next to Zion. So the core is being reset. So 5 years of David Griffin thus far. What do you think?
I think it was a wonderful opportunity to extrapolate on all the success that we want to have as an organization. And when you're building things organically, sometimes you have to put the worms in the soil to make sure you have fertile soil to grow the team in. And then you would like to plant some seeds, but you don't plant your best seeds first, right? Because you have to test the soil and look at the foundation upon which you're building this sustainable culture that can organically grow from very lush, fertile soil. But sometimes you need to refertilize the soil and turn it and you massage the roots. This is not a rebuild we're going through. It's more of a rebranding without changing the name of the team. And sometimes when you come into a burning building, right? Uh, a place that was a complete dumpster fire. You don't start with the simple things. No, everyone would say that you should clean up the graffiti and put out the fire. That's not what we're going to do. We're going to look at we're going to look at the plumbing. We're going to go in and look at the sheetrock, and we'll build sheetrock while the building is still on fire to see if that sheetrock is tough. Let me stop bullshit, man. This is a complete and utter failure. You know what I mean? Ain't no simpler way to put it. But I'm sure if you ask David Griffin, he would whip up some wonderful uh, mashed potato word salad like I just was doing there, with all these weird ass analogies and people being great human beings and all of this shit that don't mean nothing.
Very
To
unsettling.
baffle you with a bunch of bullshit. It's a failure. And the reason I think it's a failure, if you were looking at, let's say, 5 years ago, right? If we were the Orlando Magic, I think you could look at what he's done, this record, and it looks a little different, right? But we had AD, we got back an excellent package for him, probably the best you could have got, other than getting just Jason Tatum straight up, which we were all advocating for. Let me tell you, but that wasn't gonna happen. You know, Boston ain't that crazy. But that was the only other better package we probably could have got for AD. Baron that Clutch came in and was walking AD around like a little puppy on a leash at the stadium. That was fun. Still funny as hell when you go back and see Rich Paul basically showing AD to his damn seat once he signed up with Clutch. Man, it's just really weird times. And they came out and cut it down to basically 2 teams. You come back, you get Brandon Ingram, you get Josh Hart, you get Lonzo Ball. Then we got like what, 2 pick swaps and 2 Lakers picks, or was it 1 pick swap and 3 Lakers picks? I don't know, but it was the totality of owning 4 years of the Lakers draft, right, with the option to actually extend a year out for a couple of years, which is the one pretty much pick we have left in the hole. He takes Lonzo Ball as the first domino to fall on his team, along with Drew Holiday, who decided he wanted to go to a contender because he didn't believe in any David Griffin's bullshit. And who can blame him when he came in and he told Drew Holiday, the man clearly knows who he is. This is Drew Holiday. He was not a rookie. He had been in the league for a while. Sometimes you have to give a guy permission to lead. What the hell does that mean? I think Drew Holiday, he can be a franchise player and a dark horse MVP. Came out and told us all that in 2019. This is not Zion Williamson's team or Brandon Ingram. This is Drew Holiday's team. Drew Holiday went through that for 1 year. Said, yeah, I want the hell out of this dude. No doubt. He talking about we ain't winning nothing no time soon. And boy, it was Drew right. And Drew went on, and we packaged him something to the Bucks, and he went on to win the championship. Great for Drew. Not only that, before Drew actually won a championship, AD won a championship. Oh, you get a ring. You get a ring. Everybody leave here get a ring. You know, JJ Redick wasn't too happy when we finally moved out off from him and signing him for dude. Who's the dude? What was that guy's name, man? Dude, everybody was scared to fight. You remember his name, Q?
Yeah.
James something.
James Johnson.
Thank you. What is it? You know,
James Johnson.
What style of fighting did he know? No, I ain't know. I mean, everybody, you would say karate, but it wasn't karate.
I forgot what it was. I won't say it wasn't Moot. I forgot what it was, but he was a 3-degree black belt.
3-degree black belt. So, moved JJ Redick for him after signing him the next year. Once Drew left to, be the new veteran guy, because he follows the same formats with everything he does. We got off of Drew, got a bunch of BS back because we had Derek Favors that year. His mom died. He wasn't the same player. We needed a center. So we trade 2 of the Bucks picks that we got 5 picks for Drew, which I think we still got maybe 3 of them because I don't think we used any of the Bucks picks, right? Or is this pick this year courtesy of the Bucks? And we traded 1 of our picks. Get a little confusing sometimes.
Yeah, it does.
But either way, I don't see where we got really anything for Drew yet. Because we got Eric Bledsoe and you got Steven Adams, and we broke our necks to get rid of those guys. Ate the money, I think, to get rid of Bledsoe, right? Because we wasn't able to trade him nowhere. Did we trade Bledsoe and have to give up some more picks? Give up picks, get rid of Bledsoe. And you come in the next year, Lonzo Ball leaves basically for nothing. Thomas Satoransky, and Garrett Temple. Lonzo Ball was already going to leave, so you're like, okay, you lost your leverage. We draft Kyra Lewis, the obvious David Griffin pick as well. Willie Herman Gomez signing him wasn't that bad. William Gabriel, it wasn't that bad. All low budget picks. But we also did in the 2019 team, we had Christian Wood, and for some reason we just got rid of him. Been nice to have Christian Wood when Derek Favors got hurt, don't you think? But we don't do any type of thinking about what could happen or maybe how things will look later. So after you lose Lonzo Ball for nothing, we come in, have another disappointing year. We had Devontae Graham, who basically gave him a contract that wasn't worth anything. Had to move 2nd-round picks to get off of him. But while we had Devontae, we were able to acquire the services of none other than Mr. C.J. McCollum, who we wound up giving away 2 guys that we drafted. Well, 1 guy that we drafted in 2019 and NAW, who was playing in the Western Conference Finals this year, and the other guy, Josh Hart, who was playing in the 2nd round of the playoffs in the East. And we got C.J. McCullough back for that, while keeping Jackson Hayes on the team, which I would have thought we had traded him instead of NAW. But nonetheless, we got C.J. McCullough, right? Then we gave up more picks to get rid of Devontae Graham, as I stated previously. Coming to the next year, this year, without a Devontae Graham on the team, we draft Jordan Hawkins, the rookie, after drafting Dyson Daniels, who was another point guard, after drafting Kyra Lewis, who we had to give some picks to get rid of Kyra as well, because that didn't work out. Then we draft Dyson Daniels to be a point guard, who It hasn't really panned out as being a point guard, productive player nonetheless, like that. Did get Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, Jose Alvarado in that mix, so you do gotta mention that. Those are all good acquisitions. This year we got Jordan Hawkins, needing a 3-point shooter, and your coach doesn't play. So all of this is going on, and every year you're increasing your win totals by 3, maybe 4 each year. And that is pretty much the only thing you can look to and say that it's a success. Because now you have a core of CJ McCullough, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, that you have decided that you've seen enough and it's not going to work. 3 coaches later, a bunch of time later, when if you'd have moved off of, I guess, either BI or Zion earlier, their value probably would have been a lot more. Can you imagine what we could have got for BI after the most improved player of the year? If you're going to trade him, just man, one bad move after the next. Just late to the party on everything. We signed EJ Liddell to a multi-year contract, which thought he could be something like a Larry Nance. Don't play him. You got Jordan Hawkins. You sign as a 3-point shooter, comes in, plays due to injury, looking like he can be the 3rd best rookie in the league. And this is in the year with Wembanyama and Chet Holmgren, 2 guys that played awesome this year. One was actually a big part of his team getting to the playoffs and getting to the second round. And for some reason, this player, inside of maybe a month and a half, 2 months into the season, after showing a lot of promise, possibly would have been able to break the 3-point record. Your coach doesn't play him. You do nothing. You don't force his hand, nothing. We do win 49 games, though, and we get embarrassed in the first round after constantly making it to the play-in, never really securing a spot in the playoffs. And making the playoffs, nonetheless, twice in 5 years and losing in the play-in once. With the amount of talent we have, the expectation that everybody had for this team, also paralleled by Oklahoma City Thunder team, who was in kind of a similar situation to us. And you see what they did versus what we did. You see what they still have left in picks versus what we have left in picks. You see their record versus our record. You have to look at the Pelicans and deem them an ultimate failure in the David Griffin era. With all of the opportunities we've had to improve this team, be better, we've done nothing but disappoint and constantly live below the expectations of what this team should be. Talent wise, a lot of talented players, coaching, execution, management of that talent, it's been horrible.
Interesting because we talk about a lot of this, man, and it was really intriguing and interesting at the same time as the fact that, like we've seen a lot of stuff from David Griffin, like a lot of these trades, man. But there are some positives here that we could talk about. But all of the fanfare that came with the signing of David Griffin, to highlight the fact that this is his 5th year here as the VP of basketball operations. A few things to talk about now. We did find some very talented players. Jose Alvarado, Najee Marshall, who's ultimately going to leave. Perhaps Jose next year. We'll see. We're at the end of this is 5 years in. We're at the end of the first experiment, which is the BI and Zion thing that failed. So now that David Griffin knows that he won't be able to realistically attract a player here they could afford because of the salary cap situation the Pelicans are currently in. So if they're going to acquire a superstar player, it has to be via trade. So the BI trade chip is very real and very serious and needs to be handled very delicately. So we've highlighted here on PPR that, and DC alluded to it. I've said it before, even though I make cases for different players just for contrast. If you want a superstar and you're looking for a star, the pair with Zion Williamson, you got to aim high. If you can get a guy like Trey Young to play next Zion, and there are stuff on social media where they're saying they would love to be teammates, then you might want to look at that. And, there have been some things that have been positive, but overall, when you look at it, with the resetting of the core, because BI is out ultimately, not right now, but probably prior before the trade deadline, you could be looking at CJ McCollum being shipped out of here. Trajan Langdon, the general manager, is no longer here. He's going to be the VP of the Pistons. Now you got a new guy stepping in here. So a lot of changes are happening with the Pelicans, and the fact that the Southwest Division is going to be probably the most difficult division in all of pro basketball coming up next season, with the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA Finals right now. They might be coming away with a chip. That'll be difficult. You have the champion in your division, not to mention San Antonio with Wembanyama, Houston with their building. They are going to be a lot better next year. The Memphis Grizzlies, there'll be another team to look at. And then, of course, you span across the Western Conference. You can see teams like Minnesota and Denver and all these other clubs. It's not going to be a easy situation for the Pelicans. So David Griffin, man, my goodness, all of the fanfare that came with him. As you can see, his record as the Pelicans VP since he's been here, in 390 games, he's 188 and 202. He's a sub 500 record as a general manager. And the Pelicans were not void of talent when David Griffin walked through the door. They needed key decision making. They needed to be on time with their decisions, and picking 3 coaches in 3 years stalled the development of the team, in my estimation. Failing on the fire and Stan Van Gundy and have to pay these coaches, so you had to settle for cheap coaches. Let me tell you how serious this was at one point with them when they were looking for cheap coaches to come in. Jacques Vaughn was the guy that they wanted. They wanted Jacques Vaughn. Jacques Vaughn.
Don't forget Doc Rivers.
They could, Doc Rivers. They tried to get Doc. Doc turned them down for Philly.
Tyler.
They tried to get some of these guys. I ain't gonna say, I don't like how it says. They settled on Willie, but Jacques Vaughn was the guy that they wanted, and Jacques Vaughn turned the job down, and it was almost a done deal until the Pelicans' David Griffin asked him to take on coaches, to take on several coaches from the previous staff onto his new staff. And Jacques Vaughn wasn't keen on that idea. Now, why would he ask him that? Because all of these decisions, personnel-wise, the Pelicans owed all these people money, and they wanted the next coach to take these players or assistant coaches from the previous staff onto his staff. Willie Green agreed to that. Willie Green agreed to an economic contract at first to take the job. And what I'm saying is, had you not hamstrung the team in terms of having the Stan Van Gundy move and all this other nonsense, we could have had a better, more accomplished coach out the gate, and the team could have been a little bit further. But now we see this whole situation happening with 49 wins as it was building to a crescendo. But now we have a resetting. So I just want to be fair to throw that out there, DC, about the resetting of the team. That's what it comes down to. But overall, you said it was not. It's not a good. What's your words for it?
For what? Epic failure.
He called. So you're going to classify David Griffin's tenure up to 5 years right now, and a recap as a epic failure, even though the man had 49 wins and the team.
Hell yeah.
How so? How's that even logical?
Because I'm looking at a team in the Oklahoma City Thunder that basically went through the same process we went through. And if you pull up how many times they went to the playoffs, they constantly stayed winning the whole time with a less talented team than us. Then they've catapulted themselves into being able to contend in the West, make it to the second round of the playoffs, and they still have their war chest. And are picking, 10th this year in the draft? Epic failure, too. Because we should be, I can't say we should be in a better position than OKC, but we should be at least right there.
But it was
close to where they are.
It was a 3-year slide where OKC wasn't in the playoffs, though, DC.
Okay, they had a 3-year slide, but look at all that before that.
Yeah, they got it.
2019. They start from 2019. They were in the playoffs twice, and then they were like, "Okay, this ain't gonna work. Let's reset it." And they went 3 years where they got off all their assets, gained a bunch of picks, and look where they are now.
They
And
definitely.
they really only went through 2 years of that, Q, because the third year they had all of the young pieces, and it was just time for them to, kind of get out there. What if Chet would have played last year? They might have made the playoffs last year.
What's up, fam? This is Big Q from PPR. Thank y'all for watching. Please feel free to hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the share button. Hit all the notification buttons. And make sure you follow us here every week as we talk about all things Pelicans. Much love.